All right, guys, in the next 10 minutes, we're gonna go through a little bit of ankle prep, okay? Ankle prep for jiu-jitsu, like we use our ankles obviously to apply pressure, to fight heel hooks. We use, extremely plantar flexed ankles to fight ankle locks. So it's really important that we develop like a really strong relationship with our ankles, okay? So we're gonna start off just in this position here. We're gonna start off in kind of like a tabletop position with my knees right under my belly button. And all I'm gonna do is gently lift my knees off the floor and hold this position. It's called a beast position. We're just gonna hold this position for just 20 seconds to get our ankles a little bit warm, get our feet used to holding our weight like this. Now, all these small little things are so important because we need to develop that relationship from our brain into our ankle joint so we know how to move properly. You can get catastrophic ankle injuries not from ankle locks and heel hooks, but by just applying pressure in the wrong way to your ankle and not knowing which way it should rotate or load in order for you to not break your foot in half, okay? So again, we're in this beast position, we'll hold it for another 10 seconds. Okay, we're gonna continue this kind of relationship of warming up and creating awareness of our ankles by going for a side kick through. So we'll keep it with a short leg. I'm gonna get back in my beast position. Now this position would be wrong if I'm way back here. I need my knees in line with my belly button. I'm gonna sink my knees close to the floor. I'm gonna take my left foot here, I'm gonna rotate it down to the floor, and then just bring my hip to the floor close. From here, I'm gonna come back, land in the same beast position with all 5 toes on the floor. I'm gonna flip the other way with my foot and sit my hip close to the floor. Again, this is just a warm up. Just building a little bit of relationship to the ankles here. We'll do this for about 10 reps. Pulling myself into a good position, making sure that my knees are in good alignment and my feet are helping my knees stay in good, strong alignment. And I'm just transferring weight from my forefoot to my heel as I articulate my hip to the side. Lovely. Next thing I'm gonna do here, guys, is kind of set myself up into a combat base. Now we see this kind of motion all the time when we're wrestling, we're shooting for singles and doubles. So we're just going to, again, prep the tissue really slowly by having a stable leg down and a knee that's kind of lined up with the foot. Now I'm gonna use my hands to help me. I'm gonna rock my weight forward as I float this bottom leg with a light foot. So I'm gonna float it forward, let my knee tap the floor, and slowly just sit back into my ankle. You might feel a little bit of a stretch down the calf, and that's good. But again, all we're doing for today's class is exploring and showing our ankle how to move in space the way we want it. If you have like plantar fasciitis or tight ankles or tight feet, maybe you won't be able to get deep in the position. You can just go to where you can with no pain and come back. We'll do this for about 10 reps per side. Let's switch sides here. Sometimes it's like a bit confusing when you do switch sides. I'm gonna float the back leg as it transfers forward and back. You can see like my floating leg is quite light, so I can really articulate and put a little bit of minor load into the ankle. But what I'm really trying to develop is that relationship. So I know when I shoot through, my ankle and my knee know where it's going. Lovely. Again, like I was mentioning earlier, we're in this video today, we're just here to kind of sense the different motions that the ankle does. And before we can start doing any high level stuff to the ankle to really start to like bulletproof it, we need to build that relationship and tell our ankle how to do every single thing an ankle should do, okay? So what we're gonna do is set up with the yoga block in front of me. I'm gonna get my leg nice and straight. What I'm gonna do first is just plantar flex my foot all the way without any movement from the knee or the hip. I'm gonna come back to neutral. I'm gonna dorsiflex my foot as much as I can the other way. I'm gonna do this 10 times, holding at the peak of dorsiflexion for 5 seconds, holding at the peak of plantar flexion for 5 seconds, and just really getting to know what the tissue feels like at its end range in both variations. You'll feel your tib close up on the dorsiflexion. You'll feel a back stretch on the calf there. I really want you to get used to what this tissue right here, that dorsiflexion tissue on the end range feels like. And as we go into plantar flexion, I want you to feel the same thing around here. What does that tissue feel like? You'll see how slow and articulate I'm going, because that's the pace I need to kind of go at to build these relationships. Sometimes we assume fast is better, but speed really hides dysfunction. And what we're looking for is smoothness eventually. Once we've gotten our body really used to what dorsiflexion feels like and what plantar flexion feels like, I'm going to move into the other two motions of the ankle, eversion and inversion. Now you can see when we zoom in on my foot here, like this is hard for me too. And like I'm really teaching my body how to evert and invert pretty much in real time here. And again, this takes patience and this takes time. So it really is like, how bad do you want bulletproof ankles? If you want bulletproof ankles and it's important for you to excel at jiu-jitsu and stay injury-free, then you will spend the time doing this work rather than, just loading up a bench press and assuming that that's going to get you to your goals. So there does take a little bit of a buy-in. So let's talk a little bit more about what I'm trying to feel on my eversion. So I'm trying not to move my hip and I'm trying not to move my knee. What I'm trying to do is pull my pinky side of my foot up as much as I can towards my face. As I'm doing that, I'm going to feel that tissue right here close up, and I'm just trying to teach my body what it feels like to be at the end range of that tissue. Once I've held that for about 5 seconds, I'm going to return to a neutral ankle and then go into inversion, where I'm trying to see like the pinky side of the bottom of my foot. I'll feel tightness here, and my end range stop me. I might even come close to cramping, but that's not a bad thing. That's just me getting used to holding that tissue at the end range and teaching my body how to use it. 5 seconds on eversion, slow rotation, 5 seconds on inversion. Now, I'm already burning. My foot is already on fire, and this is where the conditioning for your joints really starts to kick in. And this is what we want for jiu-jitsu. We're gonna have to, if we're fighting a heel hook, we might be doing this motion for minutes. Hopefully not. Hopefully you can break the leg entanglement and get your hips out of there. But if you are fighting a heel hook for a long time or an ankle lock, you don't want that to be the first time that you're feeling out the tissue. After we're done our inversion and eversion from kind of a neutral ankle space, we're gonna completely plantar flex the ankle. And then from there, we're gonna try to invert and evert. And you'll feel that tissue close up on you from this plantar flex position. 5 second holds for both. You can see I'm working hard, and you can see again, it's this tissue that I'm trying to cramp up, and then the opposite side when I go into inversion. Once I've done 10 of those, I'm going to do the exact same thing from a dorsiflex position. So I'm going to say a neutral foot here. Now I'm completely dorsiflexed. I'm going to tilt up into eversion. Feel my closing tissue there, hold for 5. Keeping my ankle dorsiflexed, I'm going to try to get as much inversion as possible, where I'm trying to do this motion here. But again, if you're not getting a lot of motion, but you are getting a lot of sensation, a lot of cramping, this is a good thing. 5 second holds on both sides. So now I've taught my ankle all the little nuanced things it needs to do. It needs to plantar flex, it needs to dorsiflex, it needs to invert, and it needs to evert. It also needs to invert and evert from a dorsiflex position and a plantar flex position. We have started the process of teaching our ankle how to do that. Now let's put everything together into what's called an ankle car. So I'm going to start in the exact same position. Say this is a neutral ankle. I'm going to go into a little bit of a tilt to start. So I'm going to tilt from my neutral position, and then I'm going to go straight into plantar flexion with that tilt. I'm going to get as long as I can into plantar flexion, right in the middle. I'm going to tilt into eversion, and then I'm going to, with the tilt, bring my toes up to my face, open up, so I'm nice and neutral in the middle, tilt again, and then drive myself into plantar flexion without knee movement, without hip movement. And then that would be my first performed full ankle car. So I have my tilt, I come up, close off into dorsiflexion, pull my toes towards my face, tilt or evert, push down to plantar flexion, hit my max inversion as I come around the corner, stay tilted as I bring my toes towards my face, and then I'm complete my ankle car. Once I've done about 3 to 5 per one way, we'll go the other way. We'll start with dorsiflexed, we'll tilt or invert, we'll drive into plantar flexion with the tilt, we'll come around into another tilt, into eversion. We'll keep the tilt as we drive our pinky toe to our face, up into full dorsiflexion. Now, my foot is feeling really connected, really strong, just based off that. And then we will do the exact same thing for the other leg. You might be saying, this is so tedious, this is so boring. This is how we start to first connect to our tissues. Once we can connect to our tissues, when we start to load them, they're much more receptive and they build in the right ways. So take your time with this, feel out all these different motions of the foot, and implement it for your training.